Hello and welcome to the first episode of Roblox News. So pretty much we're talking about a well-known subject that has been going around in the YouTube community, the Adpocalypse. If you don't know what the Adpocalypse is, pretty much let's go through a little rundown. What the Adpocalypse is there have been, in the ads, there will be children playing, and sometimes pedophiles will go into the comments with a certain time where an inappropriate thing would be happening in the ad. If pretty much people, big companies such as Disney and Fortnite have pulled away. The Adpocalypse itself is where big ad companies or big companies who are placing ads on YouTube are pulling out, meaning ads are being taken away. Now this is a huge problem because ads, monetization, is how a lot of YouTubers or big YouTubers make their source of income. Without ads, a lot of people will be even homeless possibly because their source of income has been taken away because there are no longer ads to monetize your videos with. There's been one before, but this is the second one. So while this was going on, CorlHorl, a huge Roblox YouTuber, part of the PALs, one of the 5 people in the PALs. The PALs consist of CorlHorl, Dennis, Sub, Sketch, and Alex. CorlHorl is who we're focusing on today, and pretty much he commented something kind of, I guess, a snarky or a sarcastic comment saying saving children equals ad money. The saving children comes from the stopping the pedophiles, which YouTube is doing all they can to delete this. They're taking away comments, they're deleting channels, deleting videos, they're doing everything they can. Or making ad money. Making ad money is greater. It's a snarky comment, it's sarcastic, it's not true. He's obviously saying that's true. But he made a sarcastic comment saying that. Glad so many of you see it this way. J&G, or Jake, well known to be one of Albert's or Flamingo or Albert's stuff, one of his friends. Well, CorlHorl is not exactly about making ad money. Sure, some YouTubers won't be making 6 digits during this time, but now a lot of YouTubers who rely on YouTube as a source of income won't be able to pay for their family meals, healthcare, etc. He says, of course, I understand that. My income comes entirely from YouTube as well. I hope honest creators keep finding ways to stay afloat and are able to meet their needs. That is ignorance because he doesn't know that it's going. He just picks a side and hopes that it turns out the best. It's not. He doesn't know. He doesn't have the knowledge that it will happen. He's just hoping it happens. He pretty much states that's ignorance. He says it's an unfortunate reality of a situation. Understanding that is not ignorance. In fact, it is ignorance because you're hoping that it's going to happen. Now, if you just said something like along the lines of this sucks or things like that, I mean, pretty much he's being ignorant towards the situation by saying he hopes it's going to happen when he has no idea what the outcome will really be. He goes on to say, man, you can really tell most YouTubers never got a higher education. But you can't just say they don't have a higher education because they don't agree with you. That's just kind of dumb, to be quite honest. I mean, everybody is free to have their own opinion. You don't need to have a high education to have an opinion. That just doesn't really make sense with what he said. Tiffany, the main subject here, who was bullied by one of her idols, says, so you're saying somebody has an opinion that you don't like means they don't have a high education? You don't need an education to have an opinion. CorlHorl, and then replies with, obviously, that's not what I'm saying at all. These conversations I have with YouTubers on Twitter read like 10th graders. Many of the smartest people never went to university. What he said there could have been worded better. I think he worded that kind of like a 10th grader. But that's besides the point. You should word things properly then. I did. Whatever you say, boss. Then Albert comes into the situation saying, I am very smart. Fave subreddit, you may like r slash I am 14 and this is deep. Actually, in case you didn't know, Albert is like the age of 22, I believe. So that is that. Then let me just find the rest of the threads. I will be right back. Then she says, this is why I left the PALS fandom. Too much shade, and now one of the PALS members making not necessary drama over YouTube ads. Then he goes on to say, one of the biggest mistakes he could have done. You probably should have left the PALS fandom because you were 17 years old consuming content made for 6 to 12-year-olds. Now that is what hit a lot of people there. That is so unacceptable for him to have said that. Just because they're not 6 to 12, I mean, you're kind of she's allowed to watch your content just because she's older. I mean, are you just saying because you don't want to produce content for those people means they are not allowed to watch your content? Then she says, you probably didn't see the tweet, but I spent over $100 on my senior school jersey to have the pals written on the back of it. Honestly, I'm shaking my head. Cringe. So are you saying that supporting you is cringy? Not to get too offensive, but I kind of think that the fact that you do Roblox for a living is a little cringy, you know? Now don't get me wrong. He just kind of just ruined her. She saw him as an idol, and for him to have said that is like stabbing a knife through your heart, you know? Like, if you look up to this man and you see him as a hero to you, and for him to have said that, and then she goes on and she says a tweet that uh, he helped her through one of her darkest times, and for him to have said that really hurt her. Sub Zero Exabyte, one of the people from the PALs, says, I'm sorry, he shouldn't have said that to you. He's just really upset about all of that stuff going on. And then she replies to that saying, I just want an apology from CorlHorl. That was really not okay for him to have said. Goes on about that. So what he did was just disgusting, in my opinion. He should not have done that, and for him to have done that is so immature. It's just not okay. I mean, really though, he shouldn't have said that about one of his fans. He shouldn't have said that to anyone. That is disrespectful. It hurts people's feelings. And overall, it's just not okay for him to have done. I mean, if he would have just said, oh, maybe I just have a different opinion, or glad to hear that you have an opinion, but that's not what my opinion is. Let's move on with our day. If he would have said something like that, it would have been a-okay. But for him to have gone the route and say all of those rude, disrespectful things, and calling her supporting him cringe, or saying that she shouldn't be watching his content because it's quote unquote made for 6 to 12-year-olds. That's not okay in my book, and no wonder why nobody let that fly. It's so rude. To be quite honest, I wonder what the pals think about this. If YouTube will take action against this, or if the pals, what they'll say and what they'll do about this, or if they'll just drop it and move on with their lives. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this episode of Roblox News. if this channel does take off or things like that, then of course I will make even more content on this. That was the first episode.